to Sound Off with System One. I'm your host, Allie Moen, the Engagement and Events Marketing Manager here at System One. System One is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 9,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, and the UK. Thank you so much for joining us for another live segment of Sound Off with System One. We have a fantastic topic for you today, how to write your technical resume. And along with that fantastic topic, I have a panel of fantastic experts for you. But before we dive in, please, as you're joining us today, join us in the comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from and what industry you work in. We love to chat with everyone in the comments for all of these live segments that we do here. And if you do have any questions that you'd like to ask our expert panel today as it relates to writing your technical resume, drop those in there as well. I do have Rich and Krista from our marketing team monitoring those comments. So if you have any questions, we will try to get to as many live today as we can. Before diving into this topic today, would love to hand it over to my expert panel for some introductions and some hot jobs that they're working on. Todd, let's start with you.
Sure. Hello, all. My name is Todd Harudi, and I'm the Director of Recruiting here at System One, in charge of specifically the Energy and Engineering Division here. I'm based in Chicago, and my basically responsibilities is to oversee and lead the team of recruiters in their efforts to identify, recruit, and source the top talents for our clients around the country.
Great. Thank you, Todd. And Michaela, let's come down to you.
Hi, y'all. My name is Michaela. I am a IT recruiter. I specialize in IT, and I am in the Orlando offices here in Florida. And my hot job here is I have a embedded senior software engineer in Orlando, Florida. It would be on site. What they're looking for is obviously embedded, real-time embedded software and C and C++. And a secret clearance, active secret clearance is preferred.
Great. Thank you so much, Michaela. Michaela's job information can be found in the comments section. You can search by the job ID number by going to our career portal by either scanning that QR code in the top of your screen or by visiting jobs.system1.com. In addition to Michaela's job, you can find all of the open opportunities that System One has available for you at that same website. So without further ado, let's dive into how to write your technical resume. Todd, to get us started off, can you explain to our viewers what we mean when we say a technical resume?
Absolutely, Allie. Yeah, what we're talking about is we're not just talking about technical folks here. This can be for all people that are looking for opportunities. It could be for those of you out there that might be instructional designers and the tools that you use in your capacity of developing training courses, like it could be Articulate or Captivate. It could be project managers and making sure that you're emphasizing the tools of such as Primavera or MS Project that you're using. It's not just certainly for the Java programmers out there, and making sure the technical stack that you've got in your arsenal of skills is listed on your resume. It's for everyone out there. Maybe it's a mechanic and listing the types of engines you've worked on: diesel, steam, combustion. So don't turn us off if you just are not a technical person, because there's, as we all know, technology in every skill set today.
Yep, absolutely. So stay tuned, because I know Todd and Michaela both have some excellent tips for all of you out there. So Todd, kind of a follow-up to that great explanation. What are the key components that should be included in a technical resume to effectively showcase a candidate's skills and their qualifications?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really emphasizing the skill sets, the technical skills that you're proficient in. It's not necessarily listing everything you've ever been, learned in school, trained in. Those are important. Maybe there's something that you could, list in a caveat of been trained in, but you really want to overemphasize the tools that you really bring to the table from a skill set perspective that you use on a daily basis in your current role.
Great. Thanks so much, Todd. Michaela, let's come down to you. How should a technical resume be structured to make it easy for recruiters and for hiring managers to quickly understand a candidate's background and their expertise?
Yeah, great question, Allie. First, start off with making sure that your resume is simple as possible. Try not to use any crazy templates, but what you really want to start off with is obviously your contact information up at the top with your name, email, cell phone number, but make sure those are updated to the most current email and cell phone numbers, the ones that you would answer in 24 hours. And then following kind of your contact information is I would include education, skills, and then obviously any certifications under that are specific to the job itself, right at the top, and then followed by your work history, starting with the most relevant work history, and then any additional things you want to add at the bottom with any like volunteer work or anything like that. But what I would hone on is if there is any specific certifications or skill sets that you put that right at the top of your resume.
Great. So having those at the top really just kind of shows if a hiring manager is looking for someone and they really want a person to have this specific certification, it kind of helps with saving time for the hiring manager and as well as the candidate with just making sure it's right at the top to be seen.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. And so this question kind of ties into what you've already kicked us off with. So Todd, I'll come to you over here for a little more elaboration. Are there any specific formats or layouts that work best for technical resumes that consider the need to present both skills and work experience clearly?
Yeah, I mean, much that, along the lines of what Michaela said, I think it's if you've got certifications in a particular skill or software, it's important to segment those out. If you've been trained in something, you can certainly put those under a general skill set. But I think the most important thing for people out there is that you integrate your technical skill set into your job descriptions. That in each of your roles, your current role and past roles, that you talk about the tools that you use to do your job and how you use them. Don't leave employers wondering, at the top of the resume where you list a skill, but yet they can't find where you use that skill in any particular job. So it's important that skill section supplement the job descriptions and your responsibilities of how you used those skill sets. So you're not left, as an employer or recruiter, left wondering, they listed this on their resume in the skills section, but I can't quite find where they used it. So another nice tactic to do is sometimes even at the end of the job, of the job description or of each role is maybe put a bullet point of tools used or technologies used to really maybe in one lump sum emphasize the IT folk out there, the technology stack that you used in your role, or if it was more of a hands-on type of person, what particular tools, software, hardware, even actual tool sets if you're a mechanic or a welder that you use in your daily job.
Yep, absolutely. So Todd, we're gonna stick with you here. What are some effective strategies for incorporating technical keywords and buzzwords into a resume without making it feel too cluttered or a little unnatural?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not an issue of you want to portray the skills, but you don't want to have Java 100 times on your resume. You don't want to have AutoCAD 100 times on your resume. So it's using it again in the job descriptions of how you used it, and not just ad nauseum.
Yep. Michaela, did you have any additional thoughts?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Todd, is as he said, like clear and concise with how you're explaining it and what you're doing in that job description. And I always like to say quality over quantity when you're describing what you're doing. It's better to be precise than listing a bunch of stuff over and over again that kind of mean the same thing. So I always like to tell my candidates it's more about quality over the quantity.
That's a great point, quality over quantity. I'm glad you kind of put that out there for the viewers. And again, as a reminder to everyone tuning in, if you have any specific questions about writing your technical resume, maybe some issues you've come across, just general questions you might have, drop those in the comments. We would love to get to those live today. So please put those in there. Michaela, we'll stick with you for this next question. How important is it to tailor a technical resume for each job application? And what are the best ways to do this without having to rewrite the entire resume every single time?
Yeah, that great question, Allie. I think it's important, but it's also not super important to completely redo it, as you said. Changing some keywords with the job description. So looking at the job description, looking at the company and what kind of keywords they use and maybe tailoring it that way. But we also don't want to put anything in our resume that you haven't done or maybe have touched one time. It's really correct to just put what you have in, but tailor it from the job description and just make sure you're as detailed as possible using keywords from the job description.
Yep. Todd, anything to share with that?
Yeah, I think that the cover letter, or maybe if there's a section, online, if you're applying for a position, to just really that's the opportunity for you to sort of express, the background that you bring to the table and how it pertains to the position that you're applying for. That's your ability to sort of tailor your opportunity and your expression to say, hey, listen, in my past positions, I've used these skill sets. And if there is a transition that you could do, maybe I'm a business analyst, but I'm applying for a project management opportunity, that you can maybe take the opportunity to say, throughout my business analysis position, I use many principles of project management, without having to change your job title to project manager, because that would raise other questions.
Yep, absolutely. And Michaela, I think you brought up a good point in your answer. And that is to make sure that if you're listing a technology on your resume, that you actually have experience with it, not just once, not just hearing about it in a college course that you may have taken, but listing it and knowing that if a hiring manager asks you a question about that technology in an interview, you know that you can answer it because you actually have true experience with it. So great point. Thanks for bringing that up for everybody. Todd, next question over to you. Actually, let's hold off here. Looks like we have a question down at the bottom. So either of you can feel free to answer this. Can we put industry, internship, and work experience section on our resume?
I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. I would just, that's history. That's work history. Maybe it was a paid internship. Maybe it wasn't. But it's still experience. I mean, I don't even think that you necessarily have to, you may say, design intern or technology intern in your job title, but that goes under your experience. And absolutely. And even I think especially for the college grads out there, it's okay to list the technologies that you maybe been trained in and did course and project work in. It's okay to do that. If that's what you have, bring that to the table. But as you get more experienced, then focus on more of your job criteria, and less on what you were trained in 10, 15, 20 years ago. But no, absolutely. I think internships definitely go on the resume, and be technical just as much. Treat it just like any other job. I mean, Michaela, I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, spot on, Todd.
Well, then, Michaela, maybe you can give us some insight for Michael's question at the bottom here, which is how and where can you distinguish between very strong skills that you have and those that you're just good at, but not necessarily an expert?
Yeah, great question. Sometimes you can list those in your skills, like you can list out in your skills proficient in X, Y, and Z, and then you can put strong or intermediate in X, Y, Z. That's how I would kind of structure my resume if you are super strong in certain things, or maybe put in your summary under your education. You have a little summary. You can kind of be like software engineer proficient in C, C++, or whatever you're proficient in. But that's just an example.
Yeah, absolutely. Just maybe proficient in and then listed the skills, and then maybe knowledgeable in. There's a kind of a difference of, I have knowledge of versus I'm proficient in.
Great responses. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Michaela. Again, any more questions, drop them in. You can see that we do like to answer those live for you here. So please keep engaging and dropping those in the comments. Todd, so my next question for you is, what are some common mistakes that candidates make on their technical resumes that could potentially hinder their chances of being selected for an interview?
Yeah. Well, the obvious answer is just leaving your technical skills off your resume. That don't be so generic that you come at the sake of not listing the technical resumes, because you kind of have to, for those technical folk out there, you sort of have to reverse engineer your resume so that you're found. Certainly, if you're applying for a position, you see the job and you say, oh, I'm a great fit for that, I'm going to submit my resume. And the first thing that the employer or the recruiter is going to do is going to look for those required skills. And then, secondarily, maybe the preferred skills that are listed on the job description. Those got to pop. They got to be there. They got to be at the top of the resume. They got to be apparent, as we've talked about, that, oh, this person is definitely proficient in using the skill sets. If they're not on there and they're not apparent, or they're a little vague, you may get kind of, passed over for, the number one spot to call for that opportunity. So, and then again, on the flip side is that job seekers are often found in their, in a resume database situation. So if you're not listing the technologies, kind of in that search engine philosophy, if you're not listing the technologies, we are not going to find you and call you about an opportunity that you might be interested in. So both be found and be appropriate for the positions you're applying for.
Great advice, Michaela. Did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just kind of what Todd said is, list them in your resume, but also making sure you're explaining how you're using those in your job, in which role you're doing. Because a recruiter might see that you have those skill sets, but if it's not described well in the certain position, we might think that you're not super proficient in it or not good for the job. So just make sure you're as detailed as possible with using those certain skills in your kind of description under your experience.
Yeah. Don't list all 100 skills, Then you kind of leave the employer saying, are they a jack of all trades and a master in none? But that's kind of the other mistake, is they just list too much.
Good to know. Great advice. This is my final question for the both of you. With the growing trend of portfolios, personal websites, and even social media profiles, how can a technical resume complement these additional resources rather than just duplicate all of the information that is presented? Todd, if you want to kick us off here.
Sure. I think that, the increasing, both portfolio websites as well as the social media, they, first of all, include them on your resume. Some of the first things I do when I look at a resume is I look to see if their LinkedIn profile is easily accessible on their resume, to click on that. And, maybe we share a connection, and that can be a differentiator. So go ahead and put that on there. But the thing is, the LinkedIn profile should complement your resume, and it certainly shouldn't, it shouldn't conflict with your resume. The date should align, the title should align, the company should align. If there's discrepancies, again, it begs some questions of what's going on. I'm kind of curious why they left that job off, and why is it on the resume, or why it's not on the resume, but it's on their social media. So they should complement. For the portfolio, it's a great example to show your work and demonstrate your work. So I encourage it. Maybe it's not appropriate for everybody, but if there is an opportunity to post examples of your work in a portfolio, go for it.
Great. Michaela, thoughts from you on this last question?
Yeah, nothing too much to add. I agree with Todd. I think my main thing is just make sure it's updated. Don't include something on your resume, like a LinkedIn profile or your portfolio, if it's not updated. That's kind of what I would hone on that question.
Gotcha. And so this is the final question that we'll take from our viewers here. So what is the significance of a practical project when it comes to enhancing one's resume? Great question. I'm very excited to hear this response. Would either of you like to chime in for this?
I'm going to defer to Michaela. Put her on the spot.
Okay. I know. I think it is important to add practical projects because it shows your hands-on experience with certain things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Todd, but I think it's good as jobs recruiters or hiring managers see that you have maybe that hands-on experience with something similar to they're working with. It definitely shows that yes, they want to interview you, talk more about it. They can actually maybe ask you questions about that project too and dive more deeper. So I think it is definitely important and useful to add to your resume.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a way to highlight that would be like, if you, after you've done, maybe some bullet points, which I think are the best way to write a resume anyways, is to maybe put like for some people that maybe put an accomplishment or if you're in sales, you might put some revenue numbers. But if you're a technical person, you want to do that. That's an opportunity to take a practical project and highlight it. So it's being, a lot of your job description is a little bit more generic and kind of high level, but you can take an opportunity to say, a particular practical project that you were proud about accomplishing, parse that off and put that as a separate bullet.
Great. Well, thank you so much to both of you. Before we wrap up, I do want to give you each the floor again to give our viewers some final thoughts, some final words of wisdom to those that are going through the job search right now.
Well, you might be wondering like, well, yeah, this is great advice. Now I'm going to have a 7-page resume. And while that's a little bit possibly too long, I think the old, it's kind of a myth these days that resumes need to be 1 page. I think that resumes, based on your experience and potentially your number of jobs, 2 pages is fine. Maybe even 3. Probably beyond that's a little extensive. But don't again feel like the cost of being, I want to keep this to 1 page, and you sacrifice too much of what we've talked about today, and it's not on there. So don't be afraid to list that content. I always told people, take full advantage of that whole page. Don't have 3-inch margins so that you basically have this really narrow resume. You got a whole sheet of paper. You can do a lot on 1 page. So that would be one takeaway on these technical resumes, is that sometimes you start to feel like, oh my gosh, it's all this stuff is going to try to get jammed on 1 page. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Great. Michaela, anything from you to wrap up today?
Yeah, with kind of just the resume format, I think keep it a simple template so that you can edit it for specific jobs. Try not to go into any templates where it's hard to do any edits or anything like that. Keep it, as I said, quality over quantity, and get it in bullet points. Don't be giving us recruiters or hiring managers paragraphs under your job description. Bullet points are nice to read, and keep it concise. And if you need help, also, you don't know where to start, contact us, contact our recruiters with research. We're here to help you guys with anything you need. We're hopefully resume experts. So we're here to help you in any questions that you have or help with that as well.
Yep, Michaela, I think you just gave a really good last thought there, and that's connect with a System 1 recruiter. We're here to help you. We can match you with a great job, a great company. We are resume experts. We can help you with interview prep, everything that comes along with the job search process, the hiring process. We're here for you. So please connect with us on LinkedIn, connect with my experts, Todd and Michaela. Their contact information is being dropped in the comment section for you. And give System 1 a follow on LinkedIn as well. We share lots of great resume and interview tips, leadership insights, success stories, so much more. And if you do follow us, we have a contest going on at the moment. It's running until October 31st. As long as you hit that blue follow button, you will be entered for a chance to win an Oculus Quest 2 VR headset. So please be sure to click that button. You'll get a lot of great job seeker information, and you could possibly win a cool prize. And a quick shout out to the winner of our previous contest for the Yeti Cooler, Annette. Congratulations, Annette. Very excited that you are a System 1 follower and part of our community. So thanks again. Please be sure to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. All of the same great resume and interview tips can be found there, as well as all of these Sound Off with System 1 episodes. And speaking of Sound Off, we do have our next broadcast ready to go for you on Friday, September 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll be discussing the art of an interview follow-up. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time.